Hey, it's Dorothy Black from thedotspot.net, and today we're going to be talking about the difference between porn sex and real sex. Now, one of the most common questions that I get from young women has to do with porn. They want to know how to look, how to sound, how to move, like the woman that they see in porn because they think that's what their boyfriends want. Or they're asking questions about how to negotiate the things that their boyfriends see in porn and then want in the bedroom, like being asked to come on their face, or lots of anal, or weird positions, or changing positions all the time. And what I always need to say to them is that instead of changing yourself for what you think porn wants you to be like, you need to understand that porn sex isn't real sex. It is a fantasy. And like any fantasy, you don't try and change yourself to fit the fantasy. You unpack the fantasy, understand that it's a fantasy, and make real life work. And look, it's not just women who have weird ideas in their heads now about how they think their sex or their body should look because of porn. Men also have pretty skewed ideas about how their bodies work and how their sex is supposed to work by watching too much porn. Most of us are watching really mainstream porn that is basically premised on everything that is fake. And the first thing we need to understand about mainstream porn is that it is showbiz, ladies and gentlemen. It is lights, camera, action, and pretend, pretend, pretend. Everything is fluffed and angled so that the viewer, you, gets a good look. It's not based on what feels good. So let's look at some of the porn fantasies that we mistake for reality. And we start off with bodies. Like magazines and movies, porn goes out of its way to homogenize bodies. Worse, it tries to homogenize them into stereotypes. So you'll have like the MILF, the teen, the big boobs, the big butts, the Latinas, the Asians, the fatties, the skinnies, the flat-chested. Don't you just love how women are absolutely like pigeonholed down into their body parts? Women's sexuality is more than just those stereotypes. And then we get down to vaginas and penises. Porn would have us believe that all vaginas look the same and all dicks are like hard and huge all the time. Butts and lips all are the same color. And that all men are circumcised. All skin is smooth and all buttholes are perfect. And then surprise, surprise, the reality is that bodies are different. Vaginas are different. Vulvas are different. Lips are bigger, smaller. Clits are more pokey outy or how they hide. Dicks come in all shapes and sizes. There's foreskin. There's no foreskin. Balls are different. There's hair everywhere. Heaven forbid. And then let's look at positions. Porn tries to angle bodies for maximum exposure. It's almost like the exact opposite of what good sex is about. In real life, you've got lots of skin on skin, you've got lots of like body on body, it's all squishy and up close, it feels good, lots of eye contact, right? None of that in porn, because if you have that, you can't see what's going on. And then in porn, there's also like this crazy changing positions all the time. You know, and in those positions, where there's all that camera stuff, there's very little contact on a woman's clitoris. And a clitoris needs lots of rhythmic pressure, constant moving against it so that it can like build to an orgasm. In those positions for like crazy maximum effect, the clit almost gets no contact at all. And then even if the woman's going to have an internal orgasm or a G-spot orgasm, that also needs like quite a long rhythmic movement for a while. And yet in porn, people are changing positions every 2 seconds. You don't need to fit the entire Kama Sutra into one session. There's time. You can try all different kinds of things over the course of like weeks or months. If you want to know what your woman is into, you ask her. If there's something you want to do, you tell your partner. If your partner is changing positions too much, you stop them. You say, let's go back to what was working for me. You don't just assume. Oh, and then there's build-up. In porn, it is the best. In porn, everybody is ready all the time. There is no foreplay, there are no conversations, there's just nothing. Porn sets an unrealistic standard that women are always on, and that all they need to do to get horny is to see a man's big dick. And the same applies to guys. It's like all a guy needs to do is like see boobs or vagina. Okay, well, maybe they do. The point is that what porn does is it leads us to believe that sex is purely about penis in vagina, or penis in mouth, or penis in asshole. But sex is really much more than that. It is about relationship with yourself. It's about the relationship with the person you're actually having sex with. It's about the conversations that you're having. It's about what happens before you have sex, what happens after you have sex. You know, the better you are at the non-physical aspects of sex, the better your sex experience will be. And then it doesn't allow for any kind of humanity. Oh my God, have you ever heard a porn star queef? Have you ever seen a porn star go, oh my God, I can't get it up? Or, gosh, I'm feeling really sad today and all I need are cuddles. Like any good fantasy, porn doesn't allow for any reality. But it's those reality things that actually make sex in the long term really good, because it builds intimacy and trust and allows you to open up. But porn doesn't show us that, and that is fine. It's just that you need to understand it is just a fantasy. And then a big one, facials and swallowing. Mainstream porn will have you believe that like women die for facials. Oh my God, all we want is putting the cum all over our face and down our throats. That's all we want. And it kind of leads guys to believe that that is what they should be expecting. Not only is it what they should be expecting, it is what will make them feel good and manly and accepted and even loved. And I'm not saying that there are chicks that don't like it. There are. The problem comes in with the assumption, and the problem comes in with the emotional attachments that you make to that. Oh my God, and lastly, orgasms. People orgasm differently. Everyone has a different O-face. Some people, orgasm quietly. Some people orgasm loudly. But how's no one orgasms the way a porn star orgasms? It's probably handy to know that when you orgasm, like when you're in the height of that space, parts of your brain obviously like blanking out, including the language center. So you aren't actually capable of saying words. There can be like words before, words after, but as you orgasm, you're not saying anything. So if your partner's all like, yeah, oh my God, this is the best thing ever in the world, I remember that one time, she's faking it. And if you have to fake it, ask yourself why. Because it's all part of that performance that we think sex is. And that performance is largely driven by how we think sex should be. Porn isn't the only place we get those messages. We get other messages about how sex should be from Hollywood movies and soapies and rom-coms and all the rest of it. But if you can accept that a movie is just a movie and that it's fantasy, then you need to understand that porn is exactly the same. And so I'm not saying that like what happens in porn and what you see happening in fantasy land isn't something that can happen in the bedroom. It's just that you need to talk and you need to ask and not assume. So that's all I have for you for this week, and I hope you will look at porn with just a different eyeball, and maybe possibly look a little bit less at porn and maybe practice in the bedroom in real life. Ta-ta!